All right, today we're diving into a safety protocol where the stakes are, well, life and death. And the main opponent? It's the most relentless force out there, gravity. We're going to break down the ZPEC protocol for preventing dropped objects.
So, I want you to get a picture in your head of a drilling rig. Just this massive, vertical city made of steel. You've got all this heavy machinery, high-pressure systems all over the place. With all that going on, what do you think is the one danger that's always present? The one that's kind of just lurking in the background?
Yup, it's the object right over your head. It could be a hammer, a bolt, a simple light fixture, literally anything that gravity can get its hands on. On a rig, working way up high isn't just a thing you do sometimes, it's the norm. And that makes dropped objects an absolutely critical, constant threat.
So, to really get a handle on this, we're going to walk through ZPEC's entire safety system. First, we'll get into the mindset, the mission itself. Then, we'll look at their 5-step protocol. And finally, we'll see exactly how they plan, act, and most importantly, evolve to keep their people safe.
Okay, let's be super clear about the mission here. This isn't just about trying to reduce the risk. The goal of the ZPEC protocol is to completely eliminate injuries and damage from things falling. It's a total zero-tolerance policy for a threat that never takes a day off.
So how in the world do you fight something as basic as gravity? Well, the short answer is you don't. Instead, you build a system to manage the environment around it. And for ZPEC, that system is this really solid 5-step protocol that's designed to cover every possible angle.
And these 5 steps are the absolute backbone of the whole thing. It kicks off with awareness, because if you don't see the problem, you can't fix it. Then it gets concrete with an action plan and remedial action. From there, it gets baked into daily operations, and finally, it's designed to keep getting better through continuous improvement. This is our roadmap.
So the first big piece of this strategy is all about being proactive. It's about planning ahead. This is where the action plan and remedial action steps really come together. The idea is to map out the entire rig, to see every single potential risk before it ever has a chance to become a real danger. Now, this is where it gets really smart. How do you inspect a structure that's so incredibly complex? You don't try to tackle it all at once. You break it down. The derrick is divided into these 5 distinct zones. By doing it this way, from the crown at the very, very top, all the way down to the BOP stack at the bottom, the inspection teams can be laser-focused. It's how you make sure nothing gets missed.
And what are they actually looking for? Well, they call them hazard hunts, and it's about more than just finding a loose bolt. The crew is trained to spot any potential problem, like unsecured tools, stuff left on top of containers, or even homemade gear that shouldn't be there. This really shows a shift in thinking. It's not just about doing your job, it's about constantly scanning your environment.
All right, so we've moved from planning to doing. This is the operations part of the protocol, where that safety plan becomes part of every single thing you do at height. And let's be clear, these are not suggestions, they're non-negotiable rules. And right at the heart of all this action is one simple, powerful concept: tethering. It sounds basic, but it is absolutely critical. If a tool is being used up high, it has to be attached to the worker with a lanyard. Period. No exceptions. This one habit is probably one of the single most effective ways to stop dropped objects.
You can really see the difference in discipline here. On the left, you've got those old, risky habits. But on the right, you have the ZPEC protocol. Every single tool isn't just tethered, it's also formally logged out and logged back in. They even use a specific log sheet. This creates a rock-solid chain of accountability for every item that goes up that derrick.
And to make sure this whole system is actually working, there's this relentless inspection schedule for dropped object prevention, or DROPS. Think of it like layers of defense. You've got the weekly checks done by the rig crew themselves. Then there are more in-depth monthly inspections and those periodic hazard hunts. But the really big one is the annual inspection, which has to be done by an outside third-party contractor. That brings a totally fresh, expert set of eyes onto the rig.
Okay, I want this number to stick in your head. Every 3 months. This is like a critical, steady pulse for the entire safety program. Because that's how often every single crew member gets refresher training. You see, safety isn't a class you take once and then you're good to go. It's a skill, and you have to keep it sharp. This regular quarterly training makes sure that awareness is always high and that all these best practices just become second nature.
And that brings us to the last, and you could argue the most important phase: continuous improvement. See, a safety program that doesn't learn from its mistakes is a program that's doomed to fail. ZPEC builds that learning process right into its DNA.
A huge part of learning is changing how you define an incident. Under this protocol, a near miss isn't just an object that fell and luckily didn't hit anyone. It's also an object that was found loose and was in immediate danger of falling. This is such a brilliant move because it lets them learn from a potential disaster before it even has a chance to happen.
So when one of these near misses is spotted, it kicks off this really simple but powerful process. It's immediately reported, so it can be used for training, it gets documented, and then it's talked about in the safety meetings. So one person's discovery of a loose part becomes a valuable lesson for the entire crew, and it prevents the same thing from happening again.
And that learning doesn't just stay on one rig. The whole system is set up so that these lessons are shared across the entire fleet. An idea or finding from one crew gets passed along to all the other rigs. You're basically creating this huge network of shared knowledge that makes the whole organization safer.
So that's the ZPEC protocol. It's a complete system of planning, acting, and always learning. And it kind of leaves us with a really important question to think about, whether you're working on a rig or in an office. What's that one small discipline habit you can start building today that will guarantee a safer tomorrow?